One.
Hey, today I've got a great guest here. His name is John Limbocker with the Internet Dominators. And John's been a good friend and he knows his stuff. He's been dominating the internet since the 90s. I'm talking dial-in. And they also call him the godfather of SEO. We'll get more into that when we start talking to him a little bit more. But now John's considered one of the market gurus with a program he put together called the ACT program. Very powerful stuff. I've been through it. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring John and bring this information to you. And I'm going to go ahead and ask John, where did the shift happen when you went from SEO to marketing, and sort of why?
Well, I had always been the traffic guy. That was kind of my thing. That was what everybody knew me for. And, people like Perry Belcher and Ryan Dice and all these people in the industry, they were referring to me as the godfather of SEO. And I'm like, wow, that's a pretty heavy title to hold. But that was kind of my space, coming up through this. And then after I kind of started branching out and helping smaller business owners, entrepreneurs, people that were in these marketing groups. And when I would talk about SEO, they all wanted it. They wanted that traffic. They were like clamoring for it. And what I realized was I really couldn't help them because they couldn't convert. They wanted the traffic, but there was a lot of fundamental things they didn't have figured out yet.
Got it.
It wasn't like the big companies where, I can drive them a boatload of traffic and they can turn it into money. Yeah. All things are good there, right? Yeah. Well, one thing I realized early on about traffic is, and I don't care what kind of traffic it is. It could be SEO, it could be paid traffic, it could be a TV ad, whatever. Traffic is like a magnifier. And if you have problems, it's going to magnify them. It's not going to fix things. Traffic does not fix anything. If you've got a funnel, and I call it a funnel, it's a sales process. If you guys have heard the word funnel, that's nothing more than a sales process. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But if you've got a sales process and it works, then traffic is what you need. But if you haven't got your business to that point yet, traffic is not going to help you. In fact, it's probably going to hurt you. And, I'll talk a little bit about that when we get into the process of, how to get the traffic, how to build the messaging for it and all that. Because it's almost like scientific, the way businesses are successful. People call it a blueprint or whatever. But I have identified there is a lot of key components to making a business successful. And very few people have all of them. Very few people have any of them, to tell you the truth.
Well, I always called you the master teacher because, seriously, I've learned from a lot of people. And you hear me tell you this all the time with you. But yeah, the way your style of it and the knowledge is just pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well,
because SEO can be a very intimidating. It has been for me forever, right? On how did rankings happen and all that, and so you just sort of want to tune out.
Yeah,
the way you bring it in.
I have a very unique learning style. Like I don't use the traditional channels to learn what I learn, and get the skill sets that I've got. I learn by observation, and I learn things very quickly by observation. And that's how I was able to go from just an SEO guy, a traffic guy, to a top marketer, and a top trainer of marketing. Because where I learned from the ad agencies. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to show you how they do it. I'm going to show you how they create successful campaigns over and over and over. And rarely do they miss.
The stuff that the other guys hide. That's what I love about you.
Yeah.
You take the curtain away and let the little guys have the shot.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things too. You know, there's a lot of people that are really good marketers, but they don't know what they're doing. And when I say that, I don't mean that they don't know what they're doing in the success part. They don't know the steps of what they're doing to be able to tell you how to do it. They're very, it's what I call unconscious competency. Yeah. And you know, it's like an airline pilot. If you ever go into the cockpit of an airplane and you ask the pilot, hey, how do you fly this thing from LA to New York? He's going to break it down to you in about 3 steps. He's going to say, oh, well, we taxi out, we get clearance, we take off, we navigate, and we land in New York, right? Yeah. Well, what's going to happen if you or I try that? Yeah. There's going to be a lot of dead bodies, right?
Not good at all.
And it's because he doesn't know how to tell you how he's successful at doing that. It's unconscious competency. Yeah. And it's layer upon layer upon layer of skill set. Yeah. That's what it is. It doesn't mean that they're trying to hide things from you. It means they don't know what they're doing. They know how to do it, but they don't know what it is that they're doing.
I can equate it to sports a little bit, right? You don't think you don't think about it, you just condition it.
Exactly.
Right? You could never teach it.
Yeah.
You react.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, there's muscle memory, there's all kinds of stuff at play when you're talking about a skill set. And that's really what marketing is. It's a skill set. It's a learned skill, and anyone can do it. This isn't like made for the elite. Yeah. Anybody that can just follow a simple instruction and take direction can do this. It's not that hard.
And that's what I love about your teaching style, because you do walk it. It's not that hard. It's intimidating when you look at when you think about it. That's why a lot of people don't do it. And your style just really cool, you know, just walks you through and doesn't make it intimidating.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing with most people is they don't do it because they don't know actionable steps. They don't know what to do.
Got it. That's
you know, you tell, or they maybe they know what to do, but they don't know how to do it. Mm-hmm. So when you couple up those two things, then you got something that you can actually implement. You can actually take that to market, or what I like to call take it to the bank.
which you've done, and now you're teaching phenomenally. So let's go ahead. What are we going to talk about today? So he's actually going to walk us through 45 minutes or 30 minutes or so of this program and sort of what he does. So what are you going to present today?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about, we're gonna have a conversation about business and what makes it successful and what will get in your way of that, which I like to cover that first because we talk about the bad first. We'll get that out of the way, and then I won't, believe me, I won't leave you in the pit of hell. I won't do that.
You appreciate it. All right. Well, I'll turn it over to you then.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here because I got a little presentation for you guys, and all right. We'll get that up. I think you can see that now. And I'm going to go ahead and stop my video so you guys don't have me up there in the way. All right. So you can hear me and see that? Everything cool?
Yeah, it's our 2 pictures are still up, but I think, was it going to go full screen?
Yeah, you're probably just seeing that on your side. I think they're gone over here.
Okay, cool.
So, yep. All right. So this statement here, I have found this to be so true throughout my whole life. It's like business is the fast track to freedom. And as business owners and entrepreneurs and all that stuff, that's really what we want. That's the driver behind us, is freedom. That's what we all aspire to. That's our deepest desire. And I found this really early on. And I don't know if my dad knew what he was doing when he did it, but he unleashed a monster. And that's where my story starts, is back here when I was a kid. That's my dad and my grandfather in our little boat You know, this little 16-foot wooden boat. And we used to go out and we'd go fishing all the time. And that was what I knew. I knew that little wooden boat. But when I got to about 8 years old, I started realizing, hey, there's a lot nicer boats in this harbor. What's up with that? You know, I started seeing stuff like this. And I'm like, you know, there's a pretty big contrast between this big, beautiful yacht and this little 16-foot wooden tub we're sitting in. And I asked my dad, I said, hey, I said, Dad, how come we don't have one of those? And what he told me changed me forever. And I don't know that he even knew what he did. But what he told me was, he said, we don't have one of those because I have a job. Wow. And I was like, whoa, what? You have a job? And, you know, up to that point, I was thinking, you know, he was like who I looked up to. This is a man that went to work every day and provided very well for us. And here he just told me that we're never going to have a big, beautiful boat like this because he's got a job. I mean, talk about taking an 8-year-old and throwing them on their ear. I didn't know what to think. And I'm like, well, and I asked, you know, I was very curious. I'm like, well, these people don't have jobs? And he said, no, they have businesses. And I'm like, whoa, okay, well, you just told me I'm never going to have a job.
Profound lesson, man.
And I tell you what, that has held true throughout my entire life. I've never had a job. Not once, not ever. Not for a single day have I worked for anyone. I have been business to the core. And not to say that I haven't had my fair share of failure. Believe me, I have. I have been in multiple businesses, and not all of them were successful. And a lot of them weren't, in fact. And it wasn't until I really kind of pieced everything together that I can so clearly see the difference now in what made them fail and what makes me successful today. And that's what I'm going to share with you guys today. So we'll throw the bad news out there first. And the worst of the worst is you've been lied to. You know, people have told you that business is easy. You've told yourself that you had an idea that was worth going after when you didn't really know. So it's not just that you've been lied to, you've been lying to yourself too. And I know that sounds kind of harsh, but you'll see what I'm talking about when I get into this. And you're probably going to realize you've been doing a lot of stuff wrong, and not because you wanted to, because you just didn't know the difference. And what happens a lot of times, we'll get a crazy business idea and we think it's great. And all of our friends, they encourage us. And they don't know the difference either. So in essence, we're getting lied to, we're lying to ourselves, and we go failure after failure, and it really doesn't feel very good. The truth of the matter is, most entrepreneurs are going to fail, and they're going to fail over and over and over. And most of them are never going to reach success. Most of them are going to go back to work for somebody. And that, to me, that is just tragic. I mean, you know, when I say that, that's based on proof. This is an article out of Forbes magazine that's talking about 80% of businesses go out of business in 18 months. That's 8 out of 10 are going to fail in the first 18 months. You know, and that's according to Bloomberg. You know, that's a pretty reputable source. And it gets even worse if you look at the stats out of the SBA. This is the Small Business Administration. They keep track of this. They'll tell you 90% or 96% are going to fail if you give them long enough. If you give them 10 years, 96% of businesses are going to fail.
That's incredible. And a slow bleed.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. If you were going to fail, would you want to drag it out 10 years? Yeah. My God, that would leave you broken.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. Now think about this. If you knew those odds were against you and you were in Vegas, would you be taking that bet?
Absolutely not.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of people that when they make this bet, it's not just a little bit of money. It could be their whole livelihood. It could be their home. They could be risking everything. And with 96% odds against them, it's like, that's pretty scary. I mean, I don't know about you, but that gives me the willies just to think about it.
Absolutely. And even with the best intentions, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And, you know, the worst part is these people have people that depend on them. And they're really, really at risk of losing it all. So it's because of a couple of basic things. You know, it's the wrong focus. They're focused on the wrong stuff. And on top of that, they've got lack of knowledge. You know, and if you go back, if there's any of you that believe in religion, I mean, this is a biblical thing. In the Bible, it talks about men being destroyed for lack of knowledge. And not just a few, of a massive amount of men destroyed for lack of knowledge. That works here on earth as well as it does in the next life. Yeah. Lack of knowledge is a destroyer of men. And it's like, you know, we have this drive. It's a drive for freedom I talked about in the beginning. That is what drives all of us as entrepreneurs and business people. And, you know, we literally, because of that drive, we are throwing caution to the wind. I mean, how many times have you just said, oh, hell with it, I'm going for it, I'm going to make this work? Yep. And you just, you know, the truth is, most of them that do that, they wind up crashed and burning on the side of the road. And, you know, that's what we're talking about here. They, you know, they give up everything. You know, we saw that picture, the guy gambling his house. They, you know, they literally give up everything in chase of the American dream. And you know how it is, right? We work around the clock. It's not like we just clock in and clock out. When you're an entrepreneur and you're driven by freedom, you are going around the clock at this. And some of them will wind up borrowing money from friends and family. And I mean, you know where that goes, right? Yeah. If you don't have a way to pay that back, no good is going to come from that. You know, it's one thing to lose your house. You can get the house back. But when you damage friends and family and relationship, that's a lot harder to repair. So, you know, they have no hope of paying this money back, and they've got no plan to do it. And it's because they have no foundational business structure. You know, there's no foundation at all under their business plan. And that is the problem. That's where, you know, that's the root of the problem here. They don't know what they're doing, you know, and they get desperate. They start going to seminars thinking that they're going to pull this out of a seminar room. And it's like I talked about earlier. Remember the unconscious competency? Most of those guys that are running the seminars, yeah, they're successful. They're wildly successful, but they can't tell you exactly how they did it because they don't know. They know how to do it, but they don't know how to tell you all the things it takes to fly that plane from LA to New York, right?
Yeah, so they get you motivated.
Yeah.
Don't give you the tools, right?
Yeah, exactly. And what happens is, you know, people wind up just buying program after program. They're pulling their ATM cards out. They're burning through everything they've got. They're gambling. You know, they're throwing that bet out with 96% odds against them. And what they're looking for an easy button that doesn't exist. You know, there is no easy button. There's a way to do this right, and there's a way to not do it right. And the way to not do it right is anything outside of the way to do it right.
Yeah, and discipline.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, yeah.
I mean, imagine if you just imagine for a minute what is going through someone's mind when they do this and they've spent their money, they've borrowed, they've done everything and it's not working, and they're literally at the end of that rope. You know, they are so close to getting to this point of being broke and broken. And that's that part about, like, if you spend 10 years to fail, that's the broken part. Broke is not a big deal. You know, there's a lot of people that broke, you know, they're broke. You've heard the story, rags to riches is on every corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Broke is easily fixable. But when you're broken, that's a lot harder to deal with. So if you're going to fail, get the failures out of the way and then put a plan together that's going to work and get to it. You know, that's what I say.
That's pretty profound, man.
Yeah,
it's
like
broken's different than broke, because
yeah,
you go broke many times as you're failing forward.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
If you can keep that attitude right, you're going to succeed.
Yeah, but if you run that thing out and you get to the end of that rope and you wind up broken,
Mm-hmm.
you're not coming back from that. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, not to say that you can't, but odds are pretty hard against you.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just a matter of, you know, you got to stop that. And there is good news here. The good news is you can stop chasing your tail. I have the secret formula for you. And I think we alluded to this in the beginning. I learned by observation, and everything I've learned about advertising and marketing and doing business and being successful is based on what I learned out of the ad agency world. And it goes way, way back in history. Benjamin Franklin is one of the guys that I actually looked at. What was he doing? He was a really good marketer. You know, if you look him up, he's in the Marketing Hall of Fame, and he had formulas. He did stuff that I was able to observe and learn from and be able to tell you what it is that he was doing. He probably couldn't tell you himself because it was like flying the plane. He could do it, but he didn't know how to tell you. And that's where I'm really good, is looking at that and learning by observation and being able to unravel that stuff. So that's what I'm going to do for you guys. So you can wind up joining the 4% club.
Absolutely.
You know, they're the ones that do things differently.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the ones that, you know, follow the sheep to the slaughter. These are the guys that make it. These are the ones that hit a home run. They hit it out of the park, and they can do it repeatedly over and over and over because they do things the same way. And again, I learned this stuff out of the ad world, out of ad agencies. Ad agencies are really expensive. If you've got the money, you know, you can go to an ad agency and you can pay them to create a campaign for you that will work, but it's super expensive.
Well, then you're hoping you got a good one. Right?
Yeah. Well, they're pretty good. They rarely miss because they follow these formulas.
Okay.
You know, that's the biggest thing. So, you know, what I ask people is, how would you like to know how to build your business like an ad agency? That's what we're talking about here. And it's really, you know, you think that might be really complicated and, oh my God, I can't do that. But there is really 3 easy steps to the freedom you deserve. And it is in their formula. And I have pretty much broken that down, the 3 steps. And I call it a predictable way to get clients. It's like a predictable client getting system. And I think you had mentioned it earlier on. I call it ACT, A-C-T. And that is how the ad agencies do it. That is their base foundational formula. And yeah, there's a lot of little recipes in the A and the C and the T, but I've broken them all out for you. I've got them piece by piece, step by step. It's, you know, the A stands for analysis, the C stands for creation, and the T stands for traffic. And traffic is always on the end. Remember, I came out of the traffic world, And like I said earlier, traffic doesn't fix things. Traffic just magnifies. Well, if you do your analysis right, you create the right messaging, and you can convert the traffic, then the traffic is magical. And that's what I want you guys to be able to get to, is that magical thing called traffic. So it's the ACT marketing protocol. And, you know, I put right on here every formula that you need. There's nothing I've left out of this thing. It's like everything I've ever seen in a business that made it successful is talked about and unraveled in here, piece by piece.
Very incredible. I was going to say, are you going to get into some of the, on this presentation, the lifelong value?
Yeah, I'm gonna go through those 3 steps so you guys understand what we're talking about here.
Yeah, this is incredible. Okay.
And it's like, you know, think about this. If you could bet like this is a pretty good bet. This isn't a 96% chance of failure here. This is like a rail on the target to hit what you're after. You know, this is the closest thing you're going to get to a guaranteed thing without being illegal. So if you had a system like this, I bet you'd place a bet then, right? It's like, let's go to Vegas with that.
Exactly.
So anyway, let's get into, you know, what the nuts and bolts are, the pieces of this. And our primary thing here, our primary goal of an ad campaign or a marketing campaign, whatever you want to call it, is to create demand and desire for what we have. And when you can do that, you figure out what they want, what they need, what they have to have, and you create that. And you create the messaging around that to create their demand and desire for what you have. That's what I call great marketing. And when you have great marketing, that really makes your sales superfluous. You don't have to be a good salesperson. In fact, you don't have to sell at all. Your sales will almost be like they're on autopilot. And I'll give you an example of that, because, you know, when I say that, everybody thinks, oh yeah, I've heard that before. But here's an example. Here's a real life example. When was the last time you saw salespeople in McDonald's? You know, how many salespeople do they hire? I don't know about you, but I've been going there for 50 years and I don't think I've ever seen a salesperson.
Autopilot, yeah.
They have order takers because their marketing has created demand and desire for their product. So think about that. Would you rather make sales calls and go through that frustration, or would you rather pick up the phone and take an order? That's what we're talking about here. Yeah. That's a really powerful concept. You know, that's a really good way to go through life, is picking up your phone and taking orders. That's pretty cool. The only way you're going to do that is if you create spectacular marketing. And that's these 3 pieces I'm going to talk about. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to lead your prospects through this learning process where they actually discover how and why you are the perfect solution for them. That's really good marketing. We call that education-based marketing. They're going to go through this process of learning, and what they're going to learn is they're going to learn they should be working with you. And here's how you do it. There's 2 pieces to this, and this has to do with the conscious and the subconscious. You know, there's a little bit of math to this. There's a little bit of science. There's a little bit of art, and there's a little bit of psychology. And when I say that, I'm not saying you have to have a degree in any of those things. You just have to kind of know the rough concepts. And when I say you've got to seduce the heart and convince the head, those are the 2 key components of what will drive a sale. The heart is what wants things. The heart is where desire lives. So if we talk to the heart, we have to talk to the heart in a way to seduce the heart to get it to want what we have. The problem there is now you got this thing called the head. The head's going to step in the way And the head is where objections are going to live. The head, the job of the head is to protect the heart. And this is a psychology thing. If you know anything about that, you'll know that you have a conscious and a subconscious. And the subconscious is much more powerful than the conscious. The subconscious is what gets things done. It's like that little kid that just won't let go until he gets what he wants. The head can come in and temporarily stop the process. Now, if you're in a sales situation, that's all it takes. You're done, right? It's over. If the head comes up with a objection, then it doesn't matter what the heart wants. The head's going to say no. The head's going to say, no, I don't believe it. Whatever the objection is, the job of the head is the conscious mind to protect the heart so the heart does not get broken. And it really is just that simple. And it really does work that way. So in the process, remember I said there's a 3-step process to this? The 3 steps to this is basically dealing with the market, the message, and then the traffic. And most people skip through the market part, if they even do it at all. A lot of them will just jump right over it and jump right into the messaging. And if you do that, that's that first piece, the market, that's what we call the analysis piece. If you don't analyze your market, you might have a product that there's no market for. That happens a lot. You might also find out that when you're in creation mode, you're creating the product and you're creating your messaging based on what's important to you, and you're not the one buying it. You have to focus on the market, and you have to break the market down. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute, but you have to segment the market. And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here because I'm going to cover that more in detail in a minute, but that's a really, really critical piece. And then once you do that, then and only then can you effectively create persuasive messaging that will convert your prospects into buyers. That's what we call conversion. And once you've got those 2 down, next is the traffic. Your ability to drive the right traffic to the right message is going to be another, that's the 3rd key. You have 3 keys to the kingdom. And if you carry all 3 of those keys, you will open every door to your success. I guarantee it. I've never seen a successful business that did not have all 3 keys in place. And on the other hand, I've never seen a failed business that had them either. So that's pretty persuasive right there.
Very.
All right. So successful marketing, like I mentioned earlier, it always starts with the analysis. I cannot stress that enough. It's who are you marketing to? This trumps everything. This is by far the most important factor that there is to marketing and advertising, is who are you marketing to? The problem is, this is, like I said, this is the most neglected piece. Most people just skip right over this. They don't even care.
Is this where you would do the avatar? Start working on some of that, some of the avatar stuff we learned?
Yeah, the avatar is actually the 2nd piece. That's another problem. When they skip through here, they miss the first piece, which is the segmentation. So this is here. This is where the hidden gold lives, is in the segmentation. You have to segment your market so you can even understand who your avatar is. Okay. Like avatar is the 2nd piece of the puzzle. And how many people have you heard that just jump right into the avatar?
All the time.
Yeah, you cannot figure out who your avatar is unless you segment first, because when you segment the market, that's where we figure out what their language is. And if you don't know their language, there is no way that you could possibly create the right messaging to convert them. You cannot seduce their heart and convince their head if you don't have this part figured out. So the segmentation, really, really key here. This is where we look at what is the most profitable market segment. And here I just say market, but it's really about a market segment. And what I look at, there's three things that I look at when I'm trying to figure out, is this a profitable segment? The segment of the market has to be big enough. The size has to be big enough to support my sales goals. The segment has to have the ability to pay. If they can't afford what I'm offering, that doesn't qualify. And not only do they have to be able to afford it, they have to have the willingness to pay for it. It has to be a big enough problem or a big enough delivery mechanism that it is worth it for them to pay the money for it. If you're missing any one of those three, you do not have a foundation for a successful business. Right there, right out of square one. That's what you have to look at in your business. Do you have a profitable segment to work from? And I've got water up there. The reason I put water up there is that is an example I use as far as segmenting. Like if water was your product, you might think, oh, well, everybody drinks water, right? Well, you're true. You're right. You're right with that fact, but you still haven't segmented into the segments of people that drink the water. There are some that will pay more for the same water. There's some that will pay tremendously more for the same water. And I'll give you an example. You could, let's split it into three things. We have consumers that buy things for green reasons to save the earth. We have consumers that buy things for performance reasons, like to get a competitive edge. And we have consumers that buy things for health reasons, to live longer. And if we were selling the water to the segments, if we price that bottle of water at $20, what do you think is going to happen when you try and sell a $20 bottle of water to the green guy?
Not so much.
He is all of a sudden not going to give a rat's ass about the earth. He is not paying $20 for a bottle of water.
Let me ask you something. Where does branding come into this? Like, because Gucci versus the dollar store, right?
Branding is everything. Your brand has to match your market. Mm-hmm. Because, see, a Gucci brand will repel someone that doesn't have the money. They will all of a sudden become anti-Gucci because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
And if you have somebody that can afford it, that makes them exclusive, makes them want it even more.
Okay.
So again, figuring out your segments is key to that marketing. That marketing message, that is your brand. And if you don't figure out who you're selling to and why they would want it, like the Gucci, that's a perfect example. Why they want it is they want it because no one else can afford it.
Puts them in an exclusive club. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you package it that way, that's your messaging. That's what we're going to get to next. But figuring out if you have a profitable market is really the key cornerstone of the first step. So we could take that same bottle of water and we could package it up for performance for athletes. And if an athlete might pay $20 for the bottle, but he's not going to do it on a regular basis. He might do it for a race to give him a competitive edge. But if we take the same bottle of water and we package it up as, I'm not going to say the bottle of water is going to do this, but let's say we package it up as the cure to cancer. Let's say drinking this particular bottle of water is going to give you more time on earth. Now, to somebody that has a limited amount of time left and they know it, will they pay $20 for a bottle of water if it's going to give them extra time with their family?
Absolutely.
All day long and twice on Sunday. So that is why this is so important. And then once you figure that out, once you understand that, and here's another little story. I'll just throw this in real quick. The reason that I put the masks and snorkel and fins out there, I had a client long time ago that I learned this on, and they came to me for traffic. They were selling fins, masks, and snorkels to big resorts, hotel resorts. And at our first year meeting, I brought him into the office and I said, okay, what could we do that was better? How can I improve what I'm doing for you? And they said, well, we really make more money when we sell water slides. And I'm like, I didn't even know they did that. So I readjusted their program to gear toward a more profitable market. And guess what? On a Saturday afternoon, this guy got a call in his office from Celine Dion, and he thought it was a joke. He hung up on her, and she called back and she said, hey, this is Celine Dion. We got disconnected. And he said, well, how did you find me? What can I do for you? And she said, I found you on Google. You were #1 for water slide creation. I would like a water slide. He flew out to her place and he put this water slide in her backyard. It was $1 million plus just by changing his market segment.
Yeah.
He went from selling $10 masks and fins and snorkels to $1 million water slides with one simple shift.
Incredible.
I mean, how important is that to understand where the money is in your particular market? Pretty important.
And it shifts with time. I know when I took your course, you talked about pivoting constantly.
Yeah.
As demand for things pivoted.
Yeah, the market will change right out from under your feet. Absolutely. So that leads us to the next thing. Once you figure out that segment now, who is your most profitable avatar? Because that's who we're going to talk to. If we're going to be talking to the Celine Dion's, we need to be a little bit exclusive. They don't want a water slide that came out of a box. They want $1 million custom slide. So what do they want? Why do they want it? What do they believe? And how do they feel about it? When we understand that, now we can go in and we can start creating some really, really effective messaging. But understanding that what they want, that is really, really critical. And to do that, I have this formula I call timeline. And we look at their current situation on the left, and we look on the right at their desired outcome. And then in the middle, we look at what are the milestones and the hurdles that's going to take them to get there. And if our product or service can fill that and transform them to their desired outcome, then we've got magic to make. And that is just all there is to it. I mean, when you can do this, when you can deliver their outcome, this is your opportunity to literally eliminate price resistance of any kind and your competition in one sweep. You will have no competition if you understand this person and you understand how to talk to them. They won't want to talk to anyone else. You are going to have a corner on the market. And that's how they do it. That's the secret. That's the ad agency secret weapon. It's you got to get the message right. You got to send the right message. That's what they're talking about. I found this photo and I thought this is just classic. This is talking about, brute force. You got to send the right message. But it's so true. It's so true in advertising. And most business owners will miss the mark. Their message is going to lack clarity because they don't know who they're talking to and they don't know why it's important. And that will literally stick a fork in their business every time. They will struggle to the point of failure. I can almost guarantee it. Another one that I learned from is Elvis Presley. Elvis, I don't know if you guys realize this, but he was a struggling musician. And he found this business shift, a secret business shift that literally transformed him from a struggling musician to the king of rock and roll almost overnight. I call it the Elvis Shift, and it's part of my training. I show you how to do this, and it's really simple. I mean, it is a simple business shift that anyone can do to take their business from the same struggling that he was going through and turn you into the king of rock and roll almost overnight. And guess what? It's all about the messaging. This is what ad agencies have known and have been using for over 100 years. This is how they create wildly successful ad campaigns. This is how they turn ordinary products into household names, is with this messaging, this shift. And for those of you that haven't figured it out, the problem that Elvis had, the thing that was making him struggle, was the wrong message. His audience was young girls, and he was doing gospel music, and they didn't want any part of it. He struggled to near the point of failure with this. His message wasn't unique. It was definitely not in alignment with his market and what they wanted, and it almost killed him off in the industry. Not literally, but business-wise. It almost put an end to his career before it even got started. And then he shifted to the right messaging. And literally, overnight success, the fans went crazy. He rose to the top and was crowned as the king of rock and roll. And, you know, if you haven't figured it out, the shift was just changing the message from what they didn't want to what they wanted. And he did it masterfully. And again, he probably didn't even know what he did, but it worked. And it worked really well. And he was really good at identifying what people wanted and shifting. He did a lot of shifts. Like, one of the things, I saw an interview with him, and he was talking about the first time he came out in public on a TV show. And I forget who it was, not Johnny Carson, but you know what show that was that he came out on?
No,
I know it, but it just escapes me. But anyway, he came out there on national TV for the first time, and he was so nervous. Oh, it was Ed Sullivan.
Okay.
It was the Ed Sullivan show. And anyway, he was so nervous that his knee was uncontrollably twitching. He couldn't do anything about it. And he knew there was nothing he could do about it. So he's just going to deliver his performance. He's going to do his thing. And what he noticed was every time his knee twitched, the young girls went nuts. So guess what? He started accentuating the twitch. And that's where his crazy dancing came from. It was because he observed what that did to the audience. He gave them what they wanted, and they went absolutely nuts for it. So
observation mode.
Yeah. He did it on the fly. He saw it, he played it, and it won. It was a huge win for him. And he was able to repeat that process over his whole career. His career, he did over and over and over what his audience wanted. And, you know, I saw another interview with him. This was really interesting. When he came back from war, you know, he was drafted and went off to war for a couple of years. When he came back, he had an interview, and the interviewer asked him, he said, Elvis, you know, you've been gone for a couple of years, and do you think your audience has changed? And his answer was really profound. His answer was this. He said, I don't believe that they've changed, but if they have, I'd be crazy not to change with them. I mean, that was right off the lips of the king of rock and roll. You know, somebody that used this message to get superstardom literally overnight.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't want you guys to think this is easy, because it's not. You have to do the work. You've got to figure this out. But I guarantee you this, without the right message, you're going to continue to struggle until the point of failure. That's something I can guarantee you. I have never seen anyone break the success chain and really get superstardom without figuring out the messaging. I just haven't. I've been involved with a lot of businesses, and throughout my life, I have seen a lot of businesses, and I have not seen one yet that hit this without getting the message right.
Would you say start with a smaller, like a really zero down on that perfect, I guess, avatar And then once you dial that in, then you can start expanding, you know.
Well, I always start with the most profitable one.
Okay.
You know, I always shoot for the most profitable target because I know I need the biggest bang for my buck. You know, when I'm starting a new business, I need it to be successful right out of the gate. I don't want to wait. I'm very impatient. And I know if I can't hit it with the most profitable one, how am I going to do in the less profitable ones? I know it's time to shift and get out of that and get to something I can do well with. Yeah. So I always hit the most profitable first. That's just game on when you have that.
Yeah. Okay.
So one of the things, like once you figure out your avatar and you're doing your analysis process, which I go through in a lot of detail in the program, is this is what you're looking for. You're looking to figure out of your avatar, what are their wants, their emotions, and their beliefs. And remember, the wants are always going to come from the heart. Remember the seduce the heart, convince the head. So promises and emotions are what seduce the heart. And beliefs always come from the head. And it's logic that will convince the head. And this is something I put in big, bold, red letters down there. Beliefs will become their objections. So you have to understand their beliefs. Their beliefs are probably the most important thing here. The wants and emotional, those are pretty easy, but you need to understand their underlying beliefs. And their belief might be just as simple as, well, they can't do it because they've tried it before. Yeah. And I don't care how good you are at seducing the heart, if that belief comes into play and that is in their head and you haven't convinced them otherwise, you are not going to make a sale. That I can assure you. So that is how important this is. I mean, it's critical. So the process, when we get into creation, you know, we're kind of moving from analysis now into creation. The creation process here, it has 4 different key components to it. And the first one, this is what we call the sales vehicle. This is how you get them from beginning to end, from prospect to customer. You have to be able to grab their attention. And I put big idea there in parentheses. The big idea, this is a concept directly out of the ad agency business. If you've ever watched the movie Mad Men with Don Draper, he is portraying a real life character called David Ogilvy from the 50s. He was a famous ad man. And he is the one that identified this big idea process. And I don't, you know, we don't have time to go that deep into all of this stuff right now tonight, but that big idea is a key component. And I've got that all broken down in the training of exactly how to come up with a big idea that's your perfect attention grabber. That leads into your lead magnet, which basically gets them into the process. Then you work on creating demand and desire. And at that point, once you've created demand and desire, it's time for your offer. Now, one of the biggest things here that will create demand and desire is, again, if they believe it. They have to believe it. So the thing that we use, this is like the tool that we use, is we call it a unique mechanism. This is the thing that delivers the result. Like, you're going to make a promise of the desired outcome in your messaging. But if they don't believe it, if you don't attach a unique mechanism to it, so they can logically see, oh, wow, I could actually get this desired outcome. If you don't have that, then you have a flaw in your system. And if you look at any ad agency, any successful campaign, they all have this. Like, I'll use an example here so you get the idea of what a unique mechanism is. And again, by definition, it's the thing that delivers the result. It's the thing that does the work. So I'll use the diet pill as an example. And when diet pills came out, everybody took them and they didn't work and everybody knew it. So this created a huge objection for anyone new trying to sell a diet pill. So somebody came along and used a big idea with a unique mechanism. And all of a sudden they sold diet pills like they were going out of style. And the unique mechanism they used was Garcinia cambogia. They said, our pill has Garcinia cambogia. This is why it's going to work. This is why the other ones didn't work. And people bought those pills like they were literally flying off the shelves when they came out with that ad campaign. Now, the truth of the matter was the Garcinia cambogia was in all of them. It was in there from the beginning. It's just nobody said it. So when you say something, that gives you a unique mechanism to deliver the result. Now, you have to be careful with this. You want to stage out your unique mechanisms. You don't want to put everything out all at once. You want to stage it out, because here's what's going to happen. And this happened with the Garcinia cambogia. As soon as the first marketer did it, within weeks, all the rest of them, there was 20 different brands on the market now boasting they had Garcinia cambogia, because they saw what happened and they all copied it. You're going to have people that copy you. If you do anything good, I guarantee you, you're going to have people that copy you. And, you know, they say that's a sign of flattery, but it's a pain in your butt is what it is. And you have to make sure that they don't box you into a corner and you don't have anywhere to go. And, you know, an example of that might be, well, our Garcinia cambogia is different because it's cold pressed. It doesn't have the active ingredient cooked out of it. And then when you say that, now you have a new unique mechanism. It's expanded on the promise. And when everyone else says the same thing, then you got to expand it again. You have to say ours is not only cold processed, but it's out of the rainforest of the Ula Ula. And you know, you have to have somewhere to go to keep you out in front. So that's why I say when you come up with a unique mechanism, have it be truly unique, but as light as possible so you can add to it. Because you're going to have to.
And then you could probably go into other things like maybe not product specific, right? Like how you're delivering it or
yeah, delivery mechanisms. Yeah, absolutely. Fast acting capsules. I mean, you'll hear all kinds of stuff being.
Well, I was more getting at like even the marketing, like even the customer experience for that product. Like
oh yeah. I heard the best one I've ever heard, you know, from a marketing perspective for a diet pill was they said, and this was, I couldn't even believe I heard this when I first heard it. It was on the radio. And they said, if you're concerned because you're losing weight too fast, just cut your dose in half. And I was like, what?
It's sort of like the Viagra commercials.
Yeah.
4 hours, you know, go to the hospital or whatever. Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. But what this will do when you create this unique mechanism, this will eliminate all kinds of resistance. There won't be any price haggling. When they see you've got a unique delivery system, they're not going to be concerned with the price. They're not going to go shop it out. They're not going to complain. You have truly positioned the value to outweigh the price when you do this. So you just eliminate all this resistance. And at this point, you're to the point of the offer now. The only thing at this point that's going to stand in the way of you in a sale is an objection. And that's why those beliefs, understanding those beliefs so we can address those prior to the offer is really, really crucial. And remember I talked about Benjamin Franklin. He is the one that I learned this from. He had a belief builder, which was his way to eliminate any objection. And every objection comes from a belief. And unless you can eliminate that belief and create a new one in your favor, you will not make a sale. And this is a 276-year-old formula. The first place I could ever see this used was when he sold his wood-burning stove. And that is the marketing campaign that put him in the Marketers Hall of Fame. Wow. And I identified the formula right in there, and it works every time. It's like magical. It's crazy how well that formula works. And that's one of the things that I teach you in the program. I mean, I'll tell you what the formula is now, but the real nuance of making it work is just like magic. The formula is claim, proof, benefit. And you'll see this over and over and over, like a Crest toothpaste commercial. I'll just use them as an example. They use it magnificently. They're talking about white teeth, right? That's the desired outcome. And their claim and their proof of that benefit is 4 out of 5 dentists recommend Crest. You know, that they've just wrapped it up into a sentence. But you have to make a claim that is contrary to the belief. Like in this case, their belief might be, well, I use Colgate. Colgate's better, right? That might be their belief. Well, if you make the claim that's contrary to that, well, 4 out of 5 dentists recommend Crest. Well, what's that say about Colgate? It might just shift their belief to, well, Crest must be better, right? Mm-hmm. And then you attach it to the desired outcome. So claim, proof, benefit. The proof in that one is simple. It's the 4 out of 5 dentists recommend Crest. It's kind of like they really crafted that one nicely. But usually you make a claim contrary to the belief. You back it up with proof points that are not you saying it. Like I did that in the very beginning of this presentation. I don't know if any of you noticed that, but I made the claim about business and business failures, right? I backed it up with 2 proof points. I backed it up with the Forbes magazine article and the SBA credentials. So that was my 2 proof points. And then you attach it to the benefit. And in this case, the benefit is learning how to do this right so you're not going to fail. You know, that's a pretty big driver. So claim, proof, benefit is a really, really powerful formula for marketing.
Yeah, not fail or not even start.
Yeah, either one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, and then benefits. This is something that I also teach. When you're talking about benefits, most people focus on they don't focus on the benefit. They focus on the features. And the difference there between features and benefits, a feature is what it is. A benefit is what it does. And people buy things for what it does, not what it is. Like nobody buys a diet pill because they want a diet pill. They buy a diet pill because it will magically take weight off their waist. You know, that's what they want. That's what they'll buy. So you don't talk about the thing, you talk about what the thing does. And that's where we talk about the benefit. And I have a formula where I can 3-dimensionalize a benefit to bring it to life. Like if you look at processes that work in the real world, one of them is like when you go to a car lot to buy a car, the first thing they want to do is put you behind the wheel. And the reason for that is they want you to feel the experience. So how do you do that with words and marketing? You 3-dimensionalize your benefits so they can hear it, see it, and feel it. So you have the practical thing where you just say it and they hear it, and then you say it in a way that they can visually see it. You can evoke an image in their brain that they can actually see the thing, the outcome. And then you can pull into the emotion by talking about how they're going to feel about after it's done. And we've got formulas for that, how to 3-dimensionalize benefits. And, you know, I don't know, how are we doing on time? Do you want me to spin?
Oh, no, this is all fascinating. We have time. Keep
okay.
I was going to say that this is mind blowing. I remember this part of the presentation. I mean, just huge stuff.
Yeah, I just want to, while we're here, I'll give you a really good example of how I would 3-dimensionalize a benefit for the diet pill. Let's say we've done our research and we know that who we're targeting is a female that is going to her 20-year class reunion. So we know a lot about her. We also know that she's put on a little weight and doesn't feel good about it. So that's who we're targeting. That's the message that we're creating this for. And we're going to sell her a diet pill. So the benefit, the way I would say the benefit here, I wouldn't just say, take the pill and lose the weight. That would be saying it the way everyone else does. That's the practical way to say it so they can hear it. But I want it three-dimensional. I want her to see it. So the way I would do that is in the secondary sentence, I would say, I would use a key phrase that I call remember. When you say remember, you are activating a part of their brain that's going to bring up a visual image. They're going to tap into a memory. All you have to do is describe what the memory is. So I would say, remember how good you looked in the mirror when you were 20 pounds lighter? And all of a sudden, she is going to see a visual of her seeing herself in the mirror when she looked better and felt better about herself. That's how I pull up the visual part. And then next, I'm going to lock it in here. I'm going to go for the emotion. I'm going to go for the kill here. And I'm going to transport her into the outcome. And I'm going to do that with a different trigger word. I'm going to use the trigger word imagine. When I use the word imagine, I am now giving her creative license to take herself out of reality and to dream. So I'm going to say, imagine how you're going to feel when you walk in the room and all the heads turn and everyone's talking about how good you look. Because that's really what she wants. So that's the hear it, see it, feel it of three-dimensionalizing a benefit. And I guarantee you, if you just do that in your marketing, that's going to change everything for you.
Really powerful stuff.
Yeah. That alone is a game changer. And when you get that stuff figured out, now you're ready for traffic. Now you're truly there. You have hit the pinnacle. You are ready to drive traffic to your offers now. And one thing I want to be clear on, not all traffic converts. It's not just about getting any eyeballs onto your offer. It's about getting the right eyeballs. Remember, you crafted this message for a particular avatar. And if you're going to spend money on traffic, I really urge you to spend money on the right traffic. Otherwise, your traffic's just going to cost you a lot of money and frustration because you're going to be right back to the pool of it not converting. Your market and your message has to align if you're going to convert. So not any old traffic will do. That is a really key component there to understand. And when you do this stuff, when you get this right, you're going to be set for exponential growth. Your business is going to be on fire when you do this. So, I tell people at this point, you know enough now. It's time to choose which club you want to be in. Do you want to remain here in the 96% club, or are you ready to end that financial crisis that you might have been in, or at least know what it's all about from the past? We're talking about predictable client acquisition, predictable income, and scalable growth. And what that means is an end to the more month than money. Have you guys heard that term? There's more month than there is money. You basically run out of money at the end of the month or before the end of the month. So we're talking about putting an end to that and what I call the 4% club. This is where you're actually ready to put the ACT protocol to work for you. So that's kind of the decision that you guys are at. You're at the crossroads here at this point. And I want you to imagine, I'm going to use the imagine word on you. I want you to imagine having the exact formulas to scale your business just like ad agencies. Imagine what that would do for you, how that would change your life. And I want to I'll talk more about the program, but I want to kind of leave you here with one thought. If you decide to bug out at this point, I want you to know this: you're one hit away from changing your life forever. One really good, solid marketing campaign can change everything for your business. And that's what the ACT marketing protocol can do. It's every formula that you need to become financially free. It really, truly is. I mean, I can't make any claims of how much you're going to make or anything like that, because that's just not possible. But I can tell you that this formula, the whole protocol here in ACT, is what all successful businesses are built on. And if you don't build yours on that, you're probably not going to be in that 4% club. That I can guarantee you. So what you're going to get, like if you join the program, you're going to get our predictable client getting system. That is the ACT protocol. It is, you know, the entire thing. It's all video training. There's over 30 different formulas in there. Over on the right, I've kind of got the rundown here of analysis, creation, and traffic, so you can see how all the pieces feed into each other. It is a very methodical thing. It's one to the next, to the next, to the next, all the way through the puzzle. It's not like, you know, you're out in space and you got all these obscure things, and I'm not giving you the, you know, the whole flight path to get you all the way to New York. I'm not doing that. I'm not leaving you stranded out in the middle figuring out how to land. That would not be cool. So again, it's 3 steps. It's analysis, creation, and traffic. We cover in the analysis section exactly how to identify your most profitable market segment. And the creation, there we show you how to craft the perfect message to attract and convert your ideal clients. And then in the traffic section, we talk about delivering that message and scaling up your sales doing it. So it's a pretty simple system. And as Jackson can attest to, I have broken it down to where anybody, literally anyone, can understand this. You don't need to be, you know, you don't need any fancy education to do this. If you did, I wouldn't be in very good shape.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an amazing game changer. So I'm in the process of implementing a lot of these things currently. And, you know, when John took me through this program, it was just an amazing eye opener in terms of, first of all, how masterful a teacher he does, but also the things that are revealed that most I would say most to 90% would not share the secrets of some of these things that John just sort of seamlessly goes through in this thing. I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, I really don't hold anything back.
No.
There's nothing I have to hide here. But, you know, also included in there, you got a fast start guide that kind of gives you the outline. If you just want kind of the high level points, a lot of people, what they want to do is they want to hand this off to their outsourcers or their in-house people and get them to do the work for them. So there's a quick start guide there, so you can kind of get the lay of the land, and then you can push this off to whoever needs to be doing this work. And by all means, let me train them for you. You know, let me train your people. Let me give them the skills they need to make you successful. You know, there's a workbook with worksheets. And if you're not a copywriter, let's say, you know, copy you think is not your strong suit. When you fill out the workbook, you will be able to hand that to a copywriter and give them everything they need to know to write spectacular copy for you. Because copy is your messaging. That is the key to your success. And if you hire, let's say you hire a copywriter, most of them are fairly expensive if they're good. And what they're going to do, they're going to ask you a barrage of questions so they can understand the messaging. And if you give them half-ass answers, you're going to get half-ass copy back. So this gives you the worksheets step by step of exactly what they need to figure out what are the buying triggers, what's important to the person, all the emotions, what are the beliefs, how do we get rid of them, how do we get rid of the objections. You're going to be able to hand all of that to them and let them craft a masterpiece for you. We also have the freedom formula. The freedom formula in that lesson, that has changed people for the better like I have never seen before. because what it does, the freedom formula is kind of like a little math lesson I teach in the very beginning of the program to show you that it is actually possible to make as much money as you want. It's just a numbers game. It's just a math equation. And when people understand that and they understand how business works and it's just a simple math formula, they get that they really can have the life they want. It's just a matter of how many units do we need to move. And now that you know that, you go through the program and you find out how to move the units, and it's game over. And then I also have a complete resource guide that includes all of the stuff, all of the things that I use in my business to be able to pull this stuff off. Once the messaging's right, I share all my traffic channels with you, everything, the tools that I use, all of that stuff. And like I said, there is no tech skills or experience required. This is literally step-by-step video direction, fill in the blanks workbooks. We've got cheat sheets. I've got swipe files. Even if you don't want to do it and you don't have anybody to do it, we actually have people on our team that can do done-for-you services as well. But I really would urge you, before you hire this stuff out, I really urge you to learn this. You really need to understand this in your skill set as a business owner. It's critical for your success. And the next thing, the biggest thing that you get here is you get my personal assistance to help you. And that is where I differ from a lot of other programs. Most programs, you buy the program and that's it. You're off on your own. They might have a couple of follow-ups, but that is not the way mine works. ACT is the only system that fully supports you as long as it takes. I mean, I say that as long as it takes. You can literally take me home with you and have me help you for as long as you want. We have I
want to say that was incredible. Yeah, just what you're getting with John. He's literally just an expert, like a boxed expert. And other people charge just crazy amounts of money to even get an hour of their time, and John is literally there all the time. It's just it's one of the many things I appreciate about him and what he's providing.
Yeah, and I do that. I've been doing that since 2008. That's a long time to be supporting people, and I've done it flawlessly for just $29.97 a month. That's all it takes for my support system. I have put everybody in that. Anybody that's ever bought a program from me, they automatically get access to that. And I've got people that have been in there since 2008. It's like cheap insurance to have me on their team for under $30 a month. They just will not let it go.
Yeah.
But the way I do that, it's weekly support calls. Typically every Thursday I do an hour. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3. It's, whatever it takes to answer everyone's questions and give them the support they need. And we have a forum where you can, it's actually a support ticket system now instead of a forum, but you can literally put your questions in there 24/7. I'm not in there 24/7 to answer them, but I usually get to them, within a day on the most part. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll bring those up on the support call. All the calls are recorded. So even if you can't make it, you can still get your questions answered on the calls recorded, and you can get access to those. We have a member site with all the training, all the extra stuff, everything I put up in there. And we do video conference focus groups every time, from time to time. I'll do special announcements where we'll hop on, and it's almost like a brainstorming mastermind group. And I don't do them very often, but a few times a year I'll do that. And any members, they're all welcome to all of that stuff.
I mean, just that is worth the price of this for a year. I've sat in on them. I mean, what you learn, and then also he's being a little humble. He just knows everyone in the industry. So he's bringing people in all the time that give phenomenal value on top of his already phenomenal value. It really is it's just an incredible deal.
Yeah, I've got a lot of friends. I regularly twist their arms too. So you've seen me do it.
I've seen you do it. Absolutely.
And then I've got the K Club membership. And what the K Club membership is this is the people that have used the system and made $100,000 using the system. And that's a special group that I do extra stuff with. I give them special attention because they're like my favorite people, because they actually implement. They get out and they do what they're supposed to do, and they reap the benefits. And it's almost like a private exclusive party in the K Club. And I'll talk about that again in a minute here. But also you get full access to the Internet Dominators Club. And that's kind of my exclusive membership where I give all kinds of stuff in there. There's all kinds of software that we either develop or we cut commercial licenses with, where I can offer it to all of our members. And there's some really cool stuff. I don't, again, we're running this kind of long. I don't want to belabor that, but there's a bunch of stuff that you get in there as well. And basically, we never give up on you. All you have to do is show up to get the assistance that you need to get through this and create a successful campaign. And I tell people without even question that ACT is the last marketing program you're ever going to need. This is the foundation. I mean, there's other stuff. You'll need products and services and things beyond that. But once you learn this is not going to change. This has been in ad agencies for over 100 years, and I don't see any change in sight. I mean, this stuff has worked. It's going to work. It's going to work forever. So normally I sell the program for $19.97, but what we're doing here, I'm doing a results in advance offer so I can get more people in my K Club. I want more people in the 100K Club. So what the results in advance offer is it's breaking it into 2 payments. You pay $4.97 to get in, and you can remain in the program as long as it takes to get you to the 100K. And then that's when your second payment would be due of the additional $1,500. But I am going to tell you that I'm going to even remove that, because when you hit the 100K, I'm going to let you trade it in for a video testimonial. So you'll never have to make the second payment. It's literally just going to cost you $4.97 to get in. And if you break that down, like if you broke that down to a daily cost of what the cost per day would be, it's $1.36.
Yeah, just incredible.
I mean, what could you buy for $1.36? If you didn't do this, what would you get? Like maybe a bite of a Big Mac?
And here's the thing is, we think about bigger money's better product. In this case, it's absolutely not the opposite. The value that's being provided at this can't overstate. It's definitely John's way of giving, because like he said, $1.36 a day. And he's truly there. And I can attest to this always when you need something, and has, whatever you're needing available. So I can't overstate the value he's providing here.
Yeah. So, if you guys want to order this, you can hit the button below. And like I said, it's just $4.97, and then you're automatically enrolled in the support system at $29.97 a month. You don't have to be in the support system. If you decide, hey, I just want the program and I don't care about the ongoing support, all you have to do is just cancel it you get 30 days of it for free when you buy the program today. All you have to do is just cancel the membership before the end of the 30 days, and you'll never be charged the $29.97. So it's not forced, but I haven't had anybody yet that didn't want it. So I just include it, a no-brainer. And also, there literally is no risk. If you get into the program and you decide for any reason that it's not for you, you have 30 days to get in, test drive it, try it out, do whatever you want with it. And if for any reason, we have a very unique a very unique guarantee. We call it the shark bite guarantee. So if for any reason within 30 days you decide it's not for you, all you have to do is just either email us or call us and just tell us the shark bit it. You know, it's kind of like the dog ate my homework. Just tell us the shark bit it, and you will get a 100% return of everything that you paid. So you'll literally pay nothing for access for 30 days to the program. And beyond that, the 100K Club. This is a challenge that I have found. I've done this like 3 times now. And every time I can find and acquire one of these gold bars, what this is, it's a replica of a $100,000 bill with Woodrow Wilson on it. And it's basically, it's a 4-ounce silver bar that is coated in 24 karat gold. And every time that I can acquire one of these, I do, because I do a 100K challenge. And I say, okay, first person across the line to create a campaign that makes 100,000 gets the gold bar. And we'll be giving the 3rd one away pretty soon. So if you guys hop in on that, you get to be a part of it. So
yeah, when with your tools, that can happen. That can happen very quickly.
Yeah, you can scale it up pretty fast.
Yep. All right.
So anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it. You know, it's $497 and $29.97 a month, as long as you want me on your team. And I don't know that I could make a better offer than that.
No,
what else to give you.
That's ridiculous. And I can guarantee it, no one's taking back that 30-day guarantee. I mean, for what you're getting.
Yeah.
And, especially as you get to know John. So you got a sense of his style today, and I just can't overemphasize it enough in terms of his commitment and integrity with all of this, because there's a lot of people out there that just do want the money up front, and then you don't hear, then they disappear, and you're just left there with a bunch of stuff. And his proof is in the pudding. He's there all the time. So yeah, John, great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah, well, hey, thanks for having me on here. This was really cool. I love talking about this stuff. I mean, it just, nothing charges me up more than how powerful this stuff really is. It's really, I mean, it's changed my life for sure.
Yeah, no, I can attest to that as well. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you very much again, my friend. And I think we're going to go ahead, and if you don't mind, take a few minutes or some time here to do some Q&As.
Sure. Yeah, so, absolutely. Let's go ahead and we'll go into Q&A time here.
All right. Hey.